Tired of asking why? Welcome to the Unresolved Life podcast, where we are answering life's most difficult questions. Now, here's your host, Teresa Blaze.
Welcome to the Unresolved Life podcast. I'm Teresa Blaze, and today, guys, we're going solo. That's right, I don't really have a guest, and I just wanted to take some time and talk about something because sometimes you just have to do that. So, let's dive in, shall we? Here's a question. What do you do when you feel completely and utterly betrayed by God? Now, I know, hold on, wait, what? Betrayed by God? Come on, I know you've been there, right? You think everything's going well, you've asked him and you pray, you ask him to do something, and you think it's all going well, and then all of a sudden, you get hit out of nowhere, right? With a big fat no, but it's not just a no, it's a punch you in the gut kind of no, and you feel furious, angry, and betrayed. What do you do with that? Do you just not condone it? Do you not agree with it? Do you sit there and go, well, you know, he's God, and so I'm not going to deal with these emotions that are roiling inside of me. You know, he must have a better idea. Or do you go off half-cocked and sit there and go, well, you know what, God, you are a thus and so, and I really do not like you right now, and just go off on him? What do you do with it? Well, in the Bible, there were two guys in the Old Testament, and they were very similar in calling. In fact, they were both prophets. And in that time, a prophet of God was very, well, depending on the time period you're talking about, was very respected, although sometimes that got him in trouble too, so. Both of these guys were prophets, and both of them had a call from God, and both of them got very angry at him. But they handled that anger in two very different ways. First of all, I want to talk about Jonah. He's the first guy. Now, I know y'all have heard about the Jonah and the whale story, right? Or the Jonah and the big fish, or however you want to call it, right? You know, God tells him to go preach to a bunch of guys. And he goes, you know what? I really don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go in this other direction. And God goes, actually, no, I'm going to carry you by fish to where I had you intended to go in the first place. But if you read actually on into the story, you learn that Jonah was a very bitter and angry guy. Why was he so bitter? Because he says that I knew that if these guys repented, because he didn't want The big story with him was he was told to go preach to the Ninevites, right? And these Ninevites were like really evil, really nasty, really vile guys, okay? And he got really angry with God because after he told them to repent, they did so. And he's like, I knew if I told them to repent and you saw that and they did it, you would relent. And he was furious. He knew the nature of God, and he knew that God would come through in this area if they did the right thing. But he didn't want them to do the right thing, and so he got very angry with God. So you got this guy, and it turns out that, you know, God, you know, he's sitting outside the city, you know, sun is beating down on him. God raises up a plant to give him shade, and he goes, you know, hey, okay, all right, that's not bad, right? And then God, you know, kills off the plant, and again, he gets angry. Well, why do you destroy this plant? Yeah. And God goes, you cared so much about a plant. Should I not care about these people? In contrast, let's look at a guy named Habakkuk. Habakkuk was around, and around this time, Israel is a mess. They are a complete mess. All right? They're not obeying God's law. They're not doing anything that God told them to do. And he gets really, really angry. And he starts going, are your promises run out? Are you done? Are you done with these people? Are you just done? And he gets really, really ticked off. Like, you know, why? Why are you allowing this evil to go on, God? And how many times have we asked that, huh? Especially today and age. You look at ISIS, you look at terrorism, and you sit there and you go, why? Why are you allowing this to go on? What is your deal? And the thing is, God answered him and said, I'm not done with them. I got plans. I'm very aware of what's going on, and I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to use a bunch of evil Babylonians to come in and wipe them out and deal with it that way. Of course, that enrages Habakkuk a little more, and he goes, You're going to use someone even more evil than these horrible priests? What are you thinking? But you know what God did? He explained to him his plan. And then Habakkuk turned and worshipped, right? He told Habakkuk what was going to happen. Hey, I'm not going to just let these guys run roughshod over my people. They're going to get what's coming to them because, anyone that touches my people, I deal with. Now, why did I bring these two stories up? Have you ever become so angry with God, you just go off the rails at him? I'll be the first to say that I have. In fact, just recently. Something happened that just blew up in my face, and every time I turned around, nothing was going right. And I was just beyond done. I was beyond furious. And I tore into him, and it took a couple of very loving and gentle people to help correct me in that area. But here's the thing, guys. What do you do when you feel utterly angry or betrayed by God? Note in both of these stories that he did not mind each one of these prophets coming to him and offering their complaint. Heck, if you look at the Psalms of David, or just the book of Psalms in general, what do you see? You see a myriad of emotions, from anger to grief to happiness to joy. He's like, hey, tell me what's going on. I want to know. And the biggest thing is, Jonah forgot the deeds of the Lord. Even more so, he decided to try and run away from him when God called him to do something. That didn't quite work out. Habakkuk? Yes, he was angry. Yes, he decided to go and tell God and give him what for and confront him. But then when God revealed who he was, or reminded who he was and the deeds that he had planned, and that he actually had a plan for everything, Habakkuk turned that anger into worship. I'm not saying that what you're going through or whatever is happening isn't enough to drive you nuts. I get it. But one thing I'm working on and starting to learn is that God desires our worship, but he desires our honesty more. So if you are angry and if you are having a rough time, be honest with him, but be willing to turn that anger into worship when he shows up. Do you guys agree? Do you think that it's all right to be angry with God? Do you think maybe I'm reading too much into that? I want to hear from you guys. If you guys would leave me a comment on unresolved.life below this episode, or you can leave me a comment on the Facebook page, I would be glad to respond. Please feel free to give me your comments, and I will talk to you guys again next time. Bye.
You've been listening to the Unresolved Life podcast. To catch all our past shows, go to unresolved.life. That's unresolved.life.